abengumalusi wethu sigcinwe nguye lemihla ikhohlakala nje uyakhathala ongumelusi wancama ubomi bakhe washiya ubukhosi uyesu ezazi izinsizi zethu ebona ihlabathi lonke liwele esonweni uyesu yakhathala.
Well, his name is Mcebisi Mhlabeni. Yeah, Umelusi Olungileyo is the name of the song. It's on Radio Cape Pulpit 7 to 9 a.m. And we are your daily companion, bringing you the mind of God and the heart of the Christ, showing that we care about the people. Tell you what, we are ready to get on with the show. I did say that today we'll be starting with the workplace issues, the HR issues. And joining me today is not one, but two people because of the topic that we are discussing. Help me to welcome back on the show Bernice Reiter. Bernice, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening. Thank you for having me on your show this evening.
I don't know I don't know if you can see me that side, but I'm smiling from ear to ear that you have honored me with a return. It's so amazing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. And I invited one of my colleagues with me, Abigail Lehman. So we will share the conversation.
Let's greet Abigail. Abigail, are you there? Good evening. Welcome to Radio Cape Pulpit.
Hi, thank you so much. It's so lovely to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome to the family. We're a family out here. Yeah. Now, the topic chosen here, it really pulled at the strings of my heart. Because, you know, with everything that happens, people's wellness, especially their mental spaces. These are things that you know, in chasing profits, in just wanting to be employed alone. These are things that can then fall in the back burner of what happens in the workspace, especially for employees. So I'm glad that we chose mental health and wellness and well-being of the employer and the employee in the workspace. Because sometimes you look at the employer, you're thinking because they're the employer, they're supposed to be Superman. They cannot have mental issues and that type of thing. So just to start off, can we then get into it? Look at some of those strategies that they can be employed in looking after the mental health and wellness of employers and employees.
Yeah, I think maybe I will start. It's also a very passionate topic for myself because I'm a firm believer or an ambassador or facilitate for companies, you know, in the HR space about mental health for staff and for the employer. So with that saying, you know, HR facilitate the whole process from the employer side and for the employee. And some of the researches or topics, you know, what, if you can relate, what is work-related stress? I think work-related stress is the reaction of people have to extensive pressure of other types of demands and places that's placed in work. So, and I'm just going to give you some stats because I've done a little bit of research.
Yeah.
And some of it saying that, you know, what is the impact? Is it work-related stress or is it relationship issues that causes the stress, or what's the percentage of it? But more, the percentage of work stress relationships are 70 or physical health issues is 70% of work-related stress, and 71% is basically relationships outside work. So it's so the workplace, because I think that is where people are most in their daily lives and dealing with different issues and dynamics.
Yeah, hey. Continue. I'm just catching my breath because I can see the looking at the stats that you're talking about. I can see the extent of how internal and external factors can actually come back to affect productivity on the daily. Yeah, but please continue.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just looking at what are the or how can companies or employers, strategize and improving mental wellness in the workplace.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tap into much detail, but I'll just give you an overview. And I think Abigail is more, that's why I invited her, because I think with HR and the employer, there's some other elements or other interventions when it comes to the in-depth of, the counseling, when it goes to that level of intervention that needs to take place.
Yeah.
But some of the 5 strategies that companies can really improve in having a healthy work environment is start with the work environment itself, by offering that flexible working environment. Now, obviously, not all jobs can have that flexibility. It depends, obviously, of industry and that. But it's shown that having that flexibility of work, that can also have an impact on performance of the individual and less stress of having that flexibility of, when they need to manage their personal and well-being in the workplace. And also, I think it's also very important for employers to actually don't rely on outsiders to drive behavioral or changes in the business, where I've just spoken about interventions like an outside service provider that intervene, but it should be fostered within the business itself from leaders and managers driving that day-to-day operation and, fostering that within the company instead of just HR managing it. And so having top leadership, foster that and instilling that to staff by saying, I think it's like if a manager or a person see that, one of my staff member is working or sending emails late at night or after hours, but really to actually tap into that and maybe encourage that, having that work-life balance. And I know it's difficult, but also to be that manager or director that really cares for your staff by looking into that. And I think another aspect is as well is foster, how can I say, generation and gender conversations, by meaning being, be open to, because young people, don't be biased about gender. I think especially, and young people have their way of expressing their emotion. They will talk easily. But when it comes to men as well, they don't always share their emotion. So don't be biased, and men feel maybe that there's a stigma about if they share their emotion. So not to be biased in that way. And then say the other one would be also to be patient and prepared to invest in what matters. So it's fundamental, fundamental. And it starts with, like I also said, leadership, to recognize what are the problems within the organization and the people. And also, I think technology is also one big factor of it, but that's one element of it. And then the second one is people, so where does the stress or manage is dealing with people. So that is also another factor of how to deal with difficult relationships and managing that part within employees and employers. And also to invest in training and educating, leadership and staff. And it's really an ongoing relationship. It's not a quick fix. And it is a relationship.
Absolutely.
That needs to be.
You're absolutely right. I want to bring in Abigail because we are dealing with human beings here. Employers are human beings and employees are also human beings. And these stresses that these mental stresses that we encounter in the workplace, there's got to be interventions. And you've spoken about some great interventions that, if introduced into the workspace and introduced early enough into the workspace, can assist. But I would like, Abigail, for you to expand a little more on the issues of mental health and wellness in the workplace. What do employers need to look out for, and what can employees benefit from?
Thank you so much. I am a wellness And we have 5 pillars, that we focus on. It is like a holistic approach. And the 5 pillars will be on a social level, physical, emotional, developmental, and psychological. So we look at the whole person.
Yeah.
What affects the person at work, what affects the person at home and socially. So our approach is, like you said, it is they are just human. And everybody comes with, they have a story that is happening. Somehow there is some stress in their lives. And I think it is so important that we ground ourselves as the leadership within the workplace to be able to have like this open door policy.
Yeah.
Like Bernice just said about the stigma that is still there. It is still seen as a weakness. It is still seen if you have a mental challenge or mental illness, that it is taboo, as in, you are weak.
Yeah.
And I just see it the same as any disease or any challenge, like a diabetic. You're just diabetic and everyone accept it. And you take your tablets. But the same emotionally, we also sometimes, we have a disease and you go for counseling, use medication. And that is what we must get right. That is what we must still pursue, to remove the stigma about mental wellness. And then the 3 levels, the intervention that you spoke about, there's primary, secondary, and then also tertiary. So primary, it will be like eliminating the workplace stress, remove or reduce the negative impact on every individual in the organization. And then you get the secondary intervention, which means it increasing the awareness and the coping skills and have some stress management.
Oh, yes.
And then you go to the next level, which is important. It is the treatment or the rehab that the employees have to, because it becomes to a point where, there has to be treatment now. And just to take away the distress. And that is when the counseling comes in, and it is now one-on-one. The person has got a problem or challenge. Let us not say it is a problem. Let's say it is a challenge in their lives. And it is so important that they come from the start to invest, within their mental health. Because the same as we go to the gym, we try to eat nutritious meals. We look at the outside, very, very, it is a norm. You look after yourself, but there's another element in our lives, which is the emotional side. And it's got to work all together. You have to look at every facet in your life in order for these employees to give their all. And like optimum performance.
Yes.
Yeah. Abigail, as you're speaking about these telltale signs, I will call them, of how you can see some of these things manifesting themselves in the workplace. It's easy to take HR talk as academic talk. You're expecting these people to come at you with policies at the workplace, to come and put you in line when you've gone out of line. But these are very real things that people go through. And you're speaking about the primary, secondary, and tertiary interventions. But there's got to be a way that we can speak to an employer and an employee and say, you really need to de-stress. You really need to distress the emotional side of it. There are things like emotional eating. There are things where the person is just, has lost it, and yet they come to work. They're working. They're going home. It's just a walking zombie. How do we get? What do we say to people? How do you distress in the workplace? The physical, the emotional, and all these things that you're mentioning.
I think maybe I'll tap on on a few aspects, and then Abigail can elaborate.
Yeah.
I think it's so important, with physical and emotionally, like you're saying, and those are key things that you mentioned about eating disorder and, being stressed. So one of the things is and I can actually say, I've actually listed down here, it's basically a few, just like I can say, tips in a way that you can say to someone how you can manage your own well-being and stress is by really trying to manage your time effectively.
Oh, yes.
So being mindful about that. So that will eliminate some stress.
Yeah.
Then take the time to recharge. Really take time out of your day of whatever reflecting or emotionally de-stressing yourself. Become aware, or also become aware of what actions or events, trigger that stress.
Yeah.
And actually have a diary or a journal, putting it down, and to actually put that down to addressing what the issues are, and then rely on support and your environment and the network, and also ask for help. If you're struggling or you're not feeling well, or you're feeling this is how you feel, stressed out, ask for help. Go see your manager or HR, and to put some intervention in place, or reach out to some companies have programs, like ICAS or that. And then also set boundaries in terms of, if you go home, you don't take work home, leave work at work.
Yeah.
And I know it's sometimes difficult, but to put in those boundaries, practice techniques to relax your breathing, take leave or short breaks during peak, periods, if you've had a busy season, take, even if it's just a long weekend, but take regular breaks. And limit overtime, extensive long hours working. And also the one key thing I've learned also is to actually sleep is also very important, because one of the risk factors for burnout is if you sleep less than 6 hours, you tend to going to be burnt out. You're going to be stressed out. So enough sleep is also very important.
Yeah, I'll have you come in there, Abigail. Time is really flying away now, but I'd really like to have your input as well on the distressing and the physical, the mental, the spiritual side of things in this process.
Yeah, we are a whole person.
Yeah.
We are not just a physical being who doesn't have emotions and challenges. So I would say that self-care is, there's a big awareness now at the moment about self-care, but what it also really is, all that Bernice said, but it is about being present, yourself, being present within your own environment, and respond and listen to your body, because the mind and the body works together. It doesn't matter what we want to say, it just works together. If your body is not if you're not healthy, then obviously you'll just feel depressed. If you feel depressed, it's got an effect on your body. And we don't want that, because it can affect a company's, for example, or the workplace. It can affect the productivity. If you're not well, it can affect absenteeism. So we've got to focus on our well-being in order to be productive. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Ladies, thank you very much. But I think it's worth noticing, or it's worth noting that the H in HR is for human. So it's a specialization in the human dynamics, because the people who must come and bring this productivity are people. And the people who have the expectation for the delivery are also people. So the humanness of the discipline must always be put ahead, be put front. And in saying that, for the employer, they need to know that the function of HR is to look after their interests in terms of productivity, but also the employee must know that the H in HR represents them as well. So it's a bridge that is necessary to have, like critical, in fact, to have. So those who have small businesses who think they don't need the functions of HR, how can they benefit at DBD Solutions? How can the trainings and all these things benefit people? And while at that, Bernice, tell us about DBD Solutions.
Yeah, so definitely there is a big awareness, and it comes into what we offer. And that's why we partnered with like Abigail, that is a registered counselor, because we are the facilitator and we facilitate. But when it comes to the other interventions, when it comes to the psychological part, then we need to partner with individuals that are capable and can manage that. So especially, like you say, small businesses, I think they actually need it more than corporates, because corporates do have their structure. So therefore, they can welcome to reach out to us, and then we customize a program for them. We have like a training program, and then we do have like a mentor and coaching session where we can follow and up with staff and that needs that one-to-one coaching. So there is, and each that's not one size fits everybody. So we can customize a program for a SME and really help you with your staff members and to reach their full potential, and also being, holistically, like Abigail was saying, focus on their well-being.
Right, Bernice.
So thank you for this, and they can definitely follow us on our website as www.dbdsolutions.co.za.
All right. Right. Abigail, where do we find you? Counseling is a need, not a want, not a nice to have. Where do we find you, and how can we access your services?
Yeah, I've got my website, Abby Wellness. You can just type that in, it will pop up.
All right.
All the details are there. And I'm also on Psychology Today. So you can just type in Psychology Today, and the list of counselors will come on.
Stunning. Wonderful. Ladies, thank you very much for coming through. Thank you for honoring us with your wealth of information. We look forward to having you again right here on this show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
There you go. There you go. Told you that this information is wealth. If you have this information, your business will flourish. And that's what we do right here at Radio Cape Pulpit. That was Abigail and Bernice giving us their wealth of information. We look forward to having them again, or having Bernice again. She'll bring us someone else when she comes next time. So thank you so very much. We continue on and forward with the show. We've got Yena Kuboni of Maisha Financial Services coming up next on the show. She is talking to us about how to build wealth.
There is radio, and then there is Radio Cape Pulpit on 7 to 9 a.m. Can you hear